the big news was probably the dividend payout, which is very healthy. It was up about 20%. Sorry, it was up about 33%. And what's happened there is the PNG LNG project, which Oil Search is also involved in, has come online early. It's come online very strong, and it's starting to provide cash to Santos and Oil Search. And it's an indication really of the position that these guys are going to be in going ahead.
Now, from a sector perspective, there is going to be a huge rush of gas projects coming online now. What's that doing to transform the sector?
Well, what we're seeing, I guess, is a whole lot of risk going out. You've got people weren't sure whether PNG LNG, which was a complex project and a pipeline that went over big ravines and valleys, could come on, and it's come on early. It looks like the Gladstone projects are going ahead strongly and will come on at around their time frame. People weren't sure that would happen. So basically what we're seeing is cash that these companies said that they would have beyond 2015, 2016 is starting to appear. And then if people assume that that is going to come, the next question is, well, what are these guys going to do with this cash? They're either going to give it back to shareholders or they're going to find something to spend it on.
So once these projects come online, how much of a gas power is Australia going to be?
Well, it will push us up nearly to the biggest LNG producer in the world. And when you get Gorgon in the west, and which is due on 2015, 2016, and Wheatstone and Prelude, we will be. So definitely very much a gas power.
As a gas power, does that make us a price maker or a price taker though?
Well, it might make us a price maker in that we put so much supply onto the world markets that the price comes down. So that's what we've got to look at. But it appears that demand for gas in Asia is strong enough, especially with a lack of Japanese nuclear coming on, to actually soak that up. But still a price taker. I think it's linked to oil prices. There may be a little bit of variation around that, but yeah.
Okay. And in terms of the domestic price of gas, is that going to help that from going up? Because it will become linked, won't it, to the OPEC oil price linked to LNG price?
It will, because if you've got gas in Australia, you can either sell it to an LNG plant who will price it at global oil prices, or you can sell it to a domestic player, and the domestic players are going to have to compete with that. In the near term, yeah, gas prices will go up. The hope is that the higher prices will sponsor enough extra production that it'll come down to a level which is more, better for manufacturers. The question is what damage it does to the industries in that meantime. And
given there is so much gas coming online, are these guys going to find that if the price does go down because of that production going up so much, that the margins are going to get squeezed? I
don't think so. I think we've seen in the States it happened like that, but I think in Australia we don't have the infrastructure for that sudden rush of gas and that much extra capacity. And we also, which they didn't have in the States, we have the capacity to build more LNG plants. So we could build an extra train, which is another thing the domestic players are going to have to compete against.
Okay. And finally, you talked about all that cash that's about to come on from these projects being finalised. Do you think we're going to see a period of international players looking to come here to buy up some Australian projects, or some M&A happening in the domestic sector?
Maybe. I think we'll probably see some domestic sector acquisitions of assets that might be owned by the majors. So Woodside Chief Peter Coleman this week came out and said that he thought the market for gas assets was getting better because the super majors, the really big guys, are sort of retreating and trying to save capital. At the same time, the Chinese national oil companies have grown to levels they're comfortable with, and they're getting a bit more pressure from back home to actually account for their spending. So he's expecting more decent assets to come on to the market, and that's at the same time he's cashed up. Origin should be cashed up. Santos and Oil Search will be cashed up.